Australia. In 13 days, it will be completely out of diesel. Not in a year, not in 6 months, 13 days. France, Germany, Japan, a few weeks behind. And you? You'll feel it first at the gas pump, then at the grocery store, then on your heating bill. What I'm going to explain today is exactly what's happening, why it's unavoidable, and most importantly, what you can do right now, this week, to protect yourself. Before we start, let me tell you what this video is not. This is not a panic video. This is not politics. I'm not pro-Trump, not anti-Trump, not pro-Iran, not anti-Iran. What I do is analyze military, economic, and geopolitical facts as they are, not as the media wants you to see them. So, let's begin. Let's start with a military fact that almost no mainstream media outlet explains correctly. Iran has built a zone around its borders stretching 500 to 1,000 miles. A zone that military experts simply call a kill zone. Here's how it works. Chinese and Russian satellites monitor every movement inside that zone, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Those satellites are linked directly to Iranian strike systems on the ground. Cruise missiles, ballistic missiles, drones, tens of thousands of systems. And the rule is simple. If you can be seen, you can be targeted. If you can be targeted, you can be killed. Day or night. No exceptions. What this means practically for the U.S. Navy, it cannot move in and out of that zone without serious risk. And if the United States wanted to neutralize that surveillance, it would have to attack Chinese and Russian satellites, which would be, quite literally, an act of war against two nuclear powers. That is why the Persian Gulf blockade is not working as planned. Here are the numbers nobody is giving you clearly. Iran currently has between 45,000 and 50,000 drones ready to launch from anywhere inside Iranian territory. And they can manufacture more underground. On top of that, between 15,000 and 20,000 ballistic and cruise missiles, all capable of hitting targets within that 1,000-mile zone I just described. On the other side, the United States fired over 1,000 JASSM missiles, their most effective precision air-to-ground weapons, during the first air campaign. 1,000 missiles. Do they have that many left in reserve? The short answer? No. And THAAD radars, the American anti-missile defense systems, cost $500 million each. These are not parts you order off Amazon. The military conclusion is cold and simple. The next air campaign will be harder, not easier. Let's go back to Australia. Why 13 days? Here's what happened. Australia decided to shut down its oil refineries for environmental reasons. The result? It has crude oil, but it can no longer refine it domestically. It depends entirely on imported refined diesel. Diesel that flows through the Strait of Hormuz, a strait that is now blocked. 13 days. That is Australia's reality right now. But Australia is not alone. Look at fertilizers. 35% of the world's urea, the most widely used fertilizer on the planet, transits through the Strait of Hormuz. If that flow stops, in 3 to 6 months, farmers have no fertilizer. In 6 to 12 months, grocery store shelves start to empty. And sulfur? 50% of global sulfur trade passes through the strait. Sulfur is essential for producing phosphates, another critical fertilizer. And semiconductors? Helium. 30% of the world's helium supply came from the Gulf region. Helium is used to cool the machines that manufacture the chips inside your phone, your car, your computer. Everything is connected, and everything is fragile. Here is where we stand economically. WTI crude oil, that's the price on financial markets, is trading around $92 to $93 a barrel right now. But the physical price, what you actually pay to have a real barrel of oil delivered today, is $30, $40, sometimes $50 higher. That gap never lasts. At some point, physical reality always catches up with financial reality. When that happens in the markets, it looks like a crash. The countries that will suffer first and hardest are the poorest ones. Africa, South Asia, regions already living on the edge. No surplus, no strategic reserves, no margin for error. In 1789, the French Revolution did not break out because France was poor. It broke out because the people of Paris could no longer afford bread. France was, at the time, the wealthiest country in the world. Remember that. Now, the question you're probably asking yourself, what do I actually do about this? Here's what the most serious military and financial analysts are saying. Point 1. Gold. If this scenario plays out, some analysts project gold could reach $6,000 an ounce. That's not wild speculation. It's an extrapolation based on what historically happens when global supply chains collapse and currencies lose credibility. Point 2. Cash. In the short term, having liquid cash gives you flexibility, but in the medium term, the inflation that war always generates will erode that cash. That's the paradox. Point 3, and this one is interesting. Bitcoin. Analysts who are skeptical about crypto are beginning to reconsider. The argument is straightforward. If physical gold becomes difficult to transport and use in daily life, a digitally scarce asset could play a complementary role. Not a certainty, but a serious hypothesis worth watching. And point 4, the most important, real assets. Energy, agriculture, raw materials. Things that have physical, tangible value in the real world. To understand why this war continues despite the obvious, you need to know one man. Not Trump, not Netanyahu. A man named Roy Cohn. Roy Cohn was Donald Trump's lawyer and mentor in New York City for decades. A man known for his razor-sharp intelligence and total ruthlessness. He had 3 rules for life. Rule number 1, attack, attack, attack. Rule number 2, deny, deny, deny. Rule number 3, whatever happens, declare victory. You're a hero. You won. Trump internalized those 3 rules so deeply they became reflexes. You see them every day in his statements about the war. We control the strait. Iran is on its knees. Total victory. The military reality says otherwise. But Roy Cohn's rules never waver. The problem is that a war doesn't end with a tweet. And when reality finally forces its way through, markets don't do politics. Here is what this crisis reveals at its core. For 80 years, since 1945, the Western world has been running on an extraordinary industrial and economic system. And instead of maintaining it, investing in it, evolving it, we let it decay. Australia shut down its refineries. Europe surrendered its energy sovereignty. The United States offshored its industrial production. We bet everything on globalization, assuming supply chains would stay stable forever. This crisis proves that assumption was wrong. And the lesson, whatever the outcome of this war, is that resource sovereignty is not optional. It is a strategic necessity. The countries that invest in refining capacity, rare earth mining, local agriculture, and energy independence, those are the countries that will navigate the next decades best. That is what the facts and the numbers say today, not what politicians say, not what financial markets want to believe. What physical, military, and economic reality actually shows. Now I have a question for you. Do you think Western populations truly understand the scale of what is happening right now? Tell me in the comments. I read everything in the first few hours. If this analysis gave you something, share it with one person in your life who follows economic news. Just one. That's all I'm asking. Next video on Truth Signal: why gold and Bitcoin don't compete, and how both can work together in a crisis portfolio. See you there.